Guess who's live yet again? Ah, my eyes. My eyes feel rather dry. Have I? Ugh, maybe I should have put some eye drops prior to starting. Hello, Blue. Minky. Things working. My ears are itchy. How? What's something get caught in my? Irene. Oops. Sorry about that. Bit of a technical hiccup. If you can even call that technical. But yes, hi everybody. A proper couch too. I thought you found one. Listen, Blue. Remember the whole gotta spend a little extra on the apartment thing? Let's just say the budget was kinda short in order to get it. Hence the stretch goal we have prepared. The fluffy cat boy says, "Hi, this is my first time here. I'm actually excited because I've seen so much of your content. Hello. Welcome. Simply Mango. So Mango followed me only now, yet has been in the server for what? A whole day now? Hmm. No, I was just tired yesterday. And you know what? I said, I'm gonna go live today. Man, a decimal already. So yeah. Sorry, Beth. I've checked the budget. It's a little short. I had to double the amount of extra flooring and walling. I don't even know if the walling I ordered is enough. That's already 360 pieces of panels. Anyway, I'll worry about that this week, and that's when I can properly canvas. But for now, hello everybody. Welcome back to stream. It's a lovely Friday morning here, for it's just turned 12:47 a.m. I feel like my voice has been very far. There we go. Geb makes the goal have a decimal. No, I just carried over the extra 4.46 from the previous one. Yes. Wasn't the last dream just such a joy? Making me do funny things on screen right before ending. Oh dear, oh dear. You're moving. You see, for the past month, Simply Mango, I've been raising money in order for me to move to a bigger apartment. Right now, I live in a, dare I say, microscopic studio type. And I'm getting something with a proper bedroom now. It's still the same building, but it should afford me not only proper living conditions in which I don't have to hit my head on the ceiling when I sit up because I'm not gonna be sleeping on a loft bed anymore, and a bigger play space. Can you imagine the things that Geb can do? Being able to go walk. Also, big pause on the hydrations. I woke up with a bit of hyperacidity. It's like my tummy has a bit of the sizzle going on, and I don't want to upset it by putting anything more into it. That's after the Africa Twin fundraiser. The Africa Twin fundraiser is Beth, I don't know how I can like justify fundraising something like that. I mean, I do want the bike so bad. And did you know that the 2026 lineup of Honda has been is being slowly revealed. So far, what's been revealed is the CB1000, like the Street Fighter of theirs, and then if I remember correctly, there was something else. If it wasn't a scooter, it wasn't the Forza. I'm eagerly anticipating what the 2026 Honda Africa Twin would be. I hope it's not just a variation in the colorway. Yeah. It actually looks like it's called the CB1000 SE or something. I'd love to own a Street Fighter, but I need a bike that's a bit more practical, a bit more can do everything. Not the best at anything, but can do everything. No. Make sure you have your priorities straight. Home over the bike. That's true, Blue. Look, oh, hi, Vesp. Look, I'm not sorry. I was helping her situate herself. Unlike others, I'm not an idiot and would choose something I would like ride on weekends over like having a proper roof over my head. Hello, Cyrus. Oh, my acid is so bad. My goodness. It's probably from... For dinner, I bought chicken from a new place. It's called Curry Crazy. Think of it as KFC, but it's breaded with curry spices. Oh, the chicken was absolutely bland. It did not permeate into the meat at all. Also, Beth, thank you so much. Look at Beth starting off the stream by greasing the gears of the fundraiser. Nothing inspires Gib more than having his funny little bar inch along ever so closely towards the middle. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Also, let's see if the Vesper cam is working. So I'm not alone tonight. My companion is on her day off from work, and she's doing a different kind of work today, which is being with me. There's Vesper chat. Never so familiar with her.
Hi.
Hold on. Is there like shadows now? Oh, shadows on anybody except me. I see. Okay. Where's the camera? There it is. Yeah, so... Can I shadow cast a shadow? Maybe that's the whole reasoning why I'm not casting shadows in this world in particular. But yes. Hey Geb, first time in the stream, finally. Well, hello Dimbo Mando. Hey Geb, I was curious, says Doran the Fox. Since you don't like all the cutesy stuff like headpats, nose poops, and such, what do you think about the nice firm handshake? That was the last exchange me and the wolf had. You know, purple guys, nice deep boys. Shook on a certain thing, like true gentleman would. And also, let me clarify, it's not that I don't like physical contact. I don't like physical contact that is within near proximity from strangers or acquaintances. If you are one of my friends that I let close, I'm sure you're familiar with how much I let you actually touch me. For example, I'm sure we are no stranger with us watching movies together here in, right? Like watching YouTube and such through the video players available in the world, which are completely free. You would often find yourself shoulder to shoulder with me, and other things natural. It's just really the strangers. Like, I barely know the person. And then they would all walk up to you, put their legs between your face because they're lying down in full body and they're floating and they're in the small avatar and like, and or others would like, who's a good boy? I'm like, excuse me. Yeah, don't do that, Jack. Come on, we're just regular people, just like anybody else. Oh yeah. If anything, I actually, whenever, for example, me and Mechatronic Dragon would part, or me and Mystic would part, my close friends, we would always do so by giving a embrace to each other, right? Like, hey, come on, give it here, champ, right? And whatnot. So yes, I am no stranger to proximity. Excuse me, I'm a good man. So you're implying that you're not a good boy? No, I am a properly educated man. My days of being a boy has long sunset. I think Beth can relate. Typical. Shimurin or Kaimurin says, hi there. I'm new here. I saw you TikTok and I thought I would swing by. Well, hi. Oh my goodness, you can hear the background music. Sorry. I mean, never mind. Hi there, Dip. Good man. Oh man. Speaking of which, now I'm actually feeling a bit thirsty. Here, have some Vesper while I am getting myself something to hydrate with.
All right.
Here we go again. Daisy. Oh, that's not a lot.
So, hi, chat. I'm Vesper, Geb's companion. I don't stream myself, so I just show up on his streams. I am your mod, and well, yeah, that's about it. So, honestly, if you're over on Twitch, please behave.
You know, the term mod is simply a fancy word for executioner. Online executioner. Mm-hmm. Ooh, wow. Why, if it isn't Mystic, I was just talking about you. You see, chat was asking about me being averse to head pats, hugs, and whatnot, but you know me, Mystic. I give you hugs all the time, right? I mean, Vesper here can confirm.
Yeah, I can attest.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we don't like touch, it's just a preference to not be touched by strangers, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think anyone else would want to be touched by like a random stranger. Like, I remember being a little girl, like walking around the supermarket, and all of a sudden someone would like reach up behind me and touch my hair, like, oh, you have such lovely thick hair. Don't touch me, please.
Stranger danger, chan.
That's why.
Yeah. You know how annoying that is if somebody randomly touches your hair?
Like, especially after I just washed it too, like, oh god, now I gotta shower when I get home.
It's simple, chat. You don't know where those hands came from. I mean, sure, in the digital realm of VR chat, such things can be exempt. But still, it's the whole permeation of one's personal bubble that is the one that evokes the feeling of intrusiveness. See you around, Mango. Mystic says if you don't get permission to touch, don't do it. Also, don't be surprised if they snap at you after they warned you. Chat, I think one thing that is clearly lacking in VR chat is the ability for someone to read social cues, especially when they're obvious. And by obvious, I mean saying no. I have heard rumors about situations in which people go like, oh, but it's just a VR chat avatar anyway. It's not like I'm touching you in person. But that's the thing. The headset shunts you in the perspective of said character and turns you into said character, into said, well, place. Savoto Fox is raiding with a party of 38. I haven't even gone past 15 minutes and we already have a bunch of guests joining me in my lovely mansion of a container hangout place. Yes, let's call it that. Totally not a field operative home or anything. Let's go greet them. Hi there, Savato. Welcome to stream. I'm Gab and I'm curious what you have been up to in your stream. Were you perchance playing VR chat? Or maybe a game? Also, chatters, were you thoroughly entertained? Why, Reticent Matthew, greetings. We need to catch up on VR. I might just host a meetup after this. As tempting as it is to go dive back into Blender and redo 2 hours of work that I've just lost because I did the wrong modifiers. I did the multi-res instead of the subdivision. I think I'll just socialize today instead. I was making a game, as a matter of fact. Making a game now. That is something praiseworthy. Do tell us, what sort of game is this? Give us the elevator pitch in one message. While you're composing that, I'm gonna read the other messages. Mock says it's funny how these kind of people will say that, yet preach about immersion. If you're immersed, then shouldn't you feel that you're actually interacting with someone? Sounds like a poor excuse on their part to me. Agree. The good old double standards. Why, if it isn't Surfy B? Do I remember you from Instagram? I do tend to check people that follow me. It's just, after I posted this last video of mine, it was about sitting in full body. I kinda have a hard time because there's like so much people. Like, oh my goodness, word. It's so hard to sift through so much. Take a chill pill, kid. Don't want to overwork yourself. Of course, Mystic. Thanks. That's why I'm a bit late. By a bit, I mean I'm like late by 2 hours. So I could get some extra rest. I'm trying to make a furry card collection game. Brain rot. You lost me at brain rot, but good luck at the game dev. Talking about that yesterday. Did you catch up on your much needed rest, Matthew? I sure hope you did. Electro the Wolfie says, lovely that you almost have all your goals. I'm glad you will have a great place. You are a wonderful being. Thank you so much for that heartwarming, wholesome message. I appreciate it. One of these days, I have to collect all of these nice things and probably print it out and frame it on my wall. It's these things that keep me going, really. I don't have Instagram. I remember seeing a bee there. There's 2 bees. There was a bee, but it was half a fox or wolf, and then there was another bee that was really actually a bee. My apologies if you were neither of said bees. Well, diving into Blender. Let's see. Advice I can give you. Find a friend who actually knows what they're doing and ask them to help you with the basic things. One of the biggest things I got help from when I was still a newbie, I still am, I probably stay. average at best at this point, is learning how to sculpt. Once you learn how to sculpt, you unlock the customization sliders of your character creator. Essentially, do you want like bigger biceps? Do you want your snout to be longer? Do you want to fit your clothes into some baggy pants better? Sculpting is your best friend. And then there's weight painting. What do you have on your right hand? This is my coin. It's the lover death coin. One's a heart. And the other's a skull. Weight painting, the horror. Oh, yes. I was working on some swimming apparel. That's the clue I can give you. I think that pretty much reveals what I'm working on. And yeah, so I'm not cooped up in my stuffy suit all the time. Especially when I'm in worlds that's like the beach, it's sunny, there's sand, there's waves. Oh, I feel a sneeze incoming.
Might look lizard-esque, but he's...
Look at Vesper.
Yeah. He might be lizard-esque, but he's not... Oh, okay. But he's not, like, fully lizard. He's gonna overheat.
Look, I'm not cold-blooded, chat. I don't have that disadvantage. Problem is I don't have friends who do Blender. Your next best friends would be those Indian tutorials over at YouTube. Or, actually, I can recommend somebody. Hold on. Oh, shit. There goes my bottle. One of the people I can recommend in YouTube when it comes to VR chat avatars in particular, or VTuber models, VRMs, is Rainhead. Rainhead would be this lovely red-skinned, if I remember correctly, demoness, has a very soft-spoken voice. Lovely art. And very intuitively easy-to-follow tutorials. Perfect for beginners. Yeah. The donut video guy. I think Beth is talking about Reed's little assignment. Was it Reed who did the donut with the extra icing spilling on the side? Or was it Red? I can't recall. Maybe certain somebody would want to learn how to 3D in Unity. Once you're done with school. You gotta learn. You have to learn. So when I like pass away, you know how to do your own like avatar
You're not
work.
that old. You're not that old.
Anyway, Fuego says, I'll be going to a summer camp tomorrow, Friday, Tuesday for me. I have to get all my packing done today. I'll be going with my sister. No, I really wish it was next week because this summer has already been so busy. Oh, summer camp. A potential for very special memories. Yes. Late at night, let's go sneak out and do things that the adults will get mad at us for. Like catching bugs at the dead of midnight. The coin is cool. I mean, it quite literally is, given that it's... I doubt this is gold. It's a church camp. Well, alleluia and praise your Lord. You can go sneak out in the middle of the night and offer your prayers up to the sky. And then get called a pagan by probably your sisters or the nuns accompanying you on said trip. Children now only proclaim the word in the house of the Lord. Sorry. Bad joke. I don't want to talk about religion.
Yeah, no, as much as we might joke, we're not religious here.
Exactly. I think they're more.
Religion, politics, serious topics, blacklisted, okay? Try not to talk about those.
Mm-hmm. I mean, food is a serious topic, though, and we kind of talk about
food.
that.
Yeah, food's fine. Food's fine.
I know. Geopolitical issues, and we want to make non-political streams great again. All right.
Yeah.
So we don't want to. Yeah, we know. No funny things. Anyway. Blue Scale says, I wish it was physically possible to make VR controllers that weighed more when you pick something heavy in the game. The way things in like Blade and Sorcery. It feels realistic. That actually sounds cool. The closest analog to the immersion that you're after that I can think of would be in systems like Legendary Tales, for example. It's a VR game. Into the Radius. One thing I am not sure why is not implemented in the VR chat is your hands colliding with things. In Legendary Tales or other VR titles I've tried, when your hand gets into contact with your other hand in game, it's going to start bending over like that. It's actually going to react, or like in the face, it's going to like. Here in VR chat, it's just going to pass through. Can you imagine the amount of immersion you can have if there's like I don't know what they call it, mesh collision?
Like collision physics and all that,
Yeah, collision physics, precisely. So sad.
Like, come on, wouldn't it be fun to like be able to like actually smack your other friend's hand in VR chat and it actually collides, a proper high five that doesn't like just pass through?
That'd be super cool, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, VR chat. It's the one big thing like we're asking for. It's so strange when here in game we're sort of just ghosts to each other. We face through each other. And it makes a sound too. That'd be cool. Also, you may notice our shots are now widescreen friendly. After much deliberation, by much deliberation, I mean, I said, screw it. I have decided to postpone TikTok streams for now. I need to update the people there. I've decided to have TikTok as simply as my repository for videos. The same I would have like Insta and my Twitter. So yeah, main streaming platform choice is gonna be here. I always get the encoder overloaded error no matter what I do. I've already tried everything from adjusting my CCDs and process lasso and everything, and nothing. TikTok Studio is just an enormous resource hog. And I'm not provided with a stream key either, so I can just use OBS. Sad, really. It's okay. Jimurin says if they add mesh colliders, the petting and whatever is gonna skyrocket. Incredibly so. But my goodness, I can see people like rekindling their love for VR. If it's a social VR with mesh collisions, right? That can be toggled on and off, of course.
Like, imagine you're just sitting there in a public instance, like there's a fight breaking out, and all of a sudden you just hear the psh.
Right? That'd be the funniest thing.
It's like turns into a whole slap fight,
Yeah. Into the Radius. Oh yeah, me and Vesper were playing Into the Radius too. We just stopped like a few weeks ago because we were looking at other games. We were playing something else. We were hunting dragons and learning dogmas. We need to do more of that red quest, by the way. Those orcs give a lot of XP.
Pretty good stuff too.
Yeah. Into the raid, I don't know. I just like how normally in FPS games, crappy guns don't feel like anything. But into the radius, the moment I got my first break lever action shotgun, and then put 2 rounds into it, and then have to like put it back up, and like it feels wonderful to use. And then the way you have to scramble for ammo, and like, oh god, you have to hand load your shells. Yes, fantastic. Meanwhile, Vesper with a submachine gun.
I did my best.
Beth says, I tried playing the first Into the Radius. Nah, not about horror. Beth,
Oh gosh.
are you telling me you're scared? It's not even I mean, okay. To be fair, on its own, it's paranoia inducing, right? You're like in the zone and you see them spookies. But when you have a buddy, it's actually really manageable. It's super cool. Like, hey, can you carry this real quick? We gotta bring back the transponder back into base. My back's full.
Or
Here,
like
take
some of
this.
the jokes I'd say like, oh, you whispery little, and just
Yes.
smack those ash people.
It's so nice also because you have to have proper ammo management. For example, me and Vesper, we run into situations in which, well, we run dry. I'm like, damn, all right, here, take my last clip. And then I'll carry the gear back to base. So, yeah. I'm waiting for them to like develop stuff more. And then we'll probably hop back into it. Beth said, yeah, it was late at night and I hear children laughing and demons saying, I see you. Nah. Try to convince my buddy. Okay. Yeah. I remember when I first saw the ash people. The ash people where you smack, they dissipate and then they reform. And they have like the funny, not so funny voices that they say. Oh, hi there, Drax.
I remember getting so scared of this one, like, what, ash lady that was like supposed to look like a granny.
Oh, yeah?
Like, Grandma, what the heck are you doing here?
Yes. Well, can I say? Why, hello, Haruxi. Thank you so much for the art, by the way. I like it. Adios. I'll see you around, Yan Man. Hello, Jade. Sorry, I'm a bit late with the messages. You know how it is. Once we drone on about a discussion, reading chat gets a bit delayed. What game are you talking about? Into the Radius 2. Surfy B says, according to a friend who works at VRChat, we have insider information. A big reason is performance, especially in big worlds. Would tank FPS a lot. I mean, I don't know the intricacies of code, but maybe we can have it as a toggleable feature instead. But, yes. Hello, Zoxy. Are you going to try Battlefield 6 Beta? Ask our wayward Tiger Bee. Drax, well, I want to, but it's just the beta, which is this weekend, falls upon me being busy helping with the renovation some more. I have 1 week left before I have to move into the new unit. And it's only halfway done. Probably halfway or 65, maybe 65% done. because the flooring is probably 80% done. The walling is 50% done. And I haven't moved any of my stuff there yet. So this weekend and this coming week, I am going to be crunching hard in order to accomplish the mid-August goal of moving there. If I recall, there's going to be another open weekend. I'll probably play on that instead. I need to go settle in the apartment first, Beth. As much as I want to. What's this? Jade is redeeming some bad life advice. What do you do when you really want to go into VR chat, yet you don't have the mental capacity? It's simple. Mental capacity, social battery, one and the same. So, in order to amp yourself up into hopping into VR, you go outside and you talk to strangers as you would in game. Go try booping or head patting somebody you find cute and whatnot, and let's see how that lands you, and then you can hop into VR. Rehearse for the event, am I right? Bad life advice, Jen. Oh, I 100% get that. Are you gonna get the game though, Beth? Me, you know what? Who am I kidding? I probably will get it and I'll be playing a lot of it. Oh, Geb, that sounds horrifying. Ah, yes. You see, now, when placed into the real world, do these overly, ambitiously touchy fellows in VR realize that their actions are not exactly socially acceptable in all situations.
Yeah, they're gonna be in for a shock whenever they get, well, say a slap or anything like that. Like, you can't just go up and do what you'd probably do in VR to other people in real life, you know?
That's true.
Like, someone touches your nose, your hair, tries to pat your head, like, stranger danger?
Stranger
Hello?
danger.
Back away.
Stay around, Haroks here. BF6, says Beth. I'll probably get it. But I'm going to wait until I get to try it and see if it feels like old BF4. So far, I'm hopeful. It's not the hero shooter crap that 2042 turned into. Now, to be fair, the biggest thing I liked about 2042 is the way you can have a modular gun. It makes me really attached to weapons that way because, like, okay, I can make my AR work as a DMR if I really want to, or outfit it for a more stealthy approach by putting a suppressor, short barrels, and then subsonic rounds. And I found that fantastic. I don't have to, like, you know, myself, which means respawn and get a new soldier just to change your loadout. It's a thing in Battlefield, I'm not lying. You don't just magically fade away into nothing. Your soldier gets more than just incapacitated. That's what I'm gonna use. I played it for 3 hours now, says Floofy. It's pretty nice. It's pretty BF4 like. Question though. Are they putting unrealistic scope glint into the game where snipers are essentially flashing you with 100 million lumen flashlight instead of a scope? That's the one thing I hated. And that's one thing I like about Arma. In Arma, snipers don't have this unrealistic huge flash of light to reveal where they are. Snipers are actually feared. You have to be careful. Yeah. What campaign, Beth? Yes, that's still a thing. Oh, God. Why? I used to play hundreds of hours of Arma 3. I had a lot of fun playing King of the Hill. I like it when it's a game mode in which there's progression. So you get your frags, you get your captures, your objective points. You actually earn money and experience, and then you earn better weapons and attachments as time goes by and whatnot. Yes. What was my favorite gun back then? I think it was called the Type 10. It was a 6.5 mmAR 30 magazine, 30 round mag, and it had a 50 caliber Beowulf underslung on it. It's weird, I know. Wasteland was so much fun. Something like that, Onyx. I love me some Vesper. Oh yeah. No. Ghosty Goober says, dude, I love your Instagram post. Glad I came across your Twitch. Hi, welcome. I'm so thirsty. I was playing a bit this morning and I kind of stressed my throat. I was so frustrated with casting a spell that took 3 to 5 business days in order to unleash. And yeah.
And it didn't help that one of our friends was laughing over the fact that you were struggling so much.
Mm-hmm. That's true. God. Don't play the sorcerer in Dragonstorm. How's the stream going? I've been cutting watermelon. Nothing exciting. It's just still me. Still Vesper. Fireball. Oh, what's that? Mage Arena? That looks funny. Where you have to cast spells by doing the somatic component of it. Like you have to go actually say the spell. What? Fireball? And then all of a sudden the fireball launches in front of you, like blowing you up too. Wait, somatic? No, sorry. Somatic is the material component of a spell. Verbal is like the... Yes. My bad. Oh, the hand... Yeah. That. Oh. What? The hand moving? So like... Right. Thank you for the correction, Beth. Man, I haven't played pen and paper in so long. The last session I had was it was before the homeless, 2018, I think. So seven years ago. We were using a website called rolld20.net or something. It had the grid squares and you can make custom maps and everything. Yeah, roll20. Good luck, Astro. That's the best thing I can give you. Yeah, it was Mage Arena. Chiyo. Chimori. 2018 was 7 years ago. I know. Yep, got a sitting game I do with some old buddies every Friday. Nurture that friend group of yours, Beth. Being able to go... You know, D&D is essentially just the grown-up version of kids playing pretend, right? You have your funny little figures and then their little heroes on their imaginary adventures. Fond memories. My eyebrows. My eyebrows. My mistake of playing a fighter that knows nothing but sword fighting, clad in full plate. I met somebody who could cast this really funny spell. Heat. Metal. I couldn't swing my sword because it was like holding on to a toaster's coils. I was burning alive because my armor turned into an oven. I'm like, what sort of abomination is this guy? Heat metal. Oh, God. A proper couch, don't you have already? No, I don't. I checked the budget. It wasn't enough. Why? Because of the damn rain. I even had to fundraise for like the repairs. So what we did was we scraped most of the floor panels were, what's the proper term, unglued, because apparently that unit has been unused for a long while now. And the landlord never bothered to repair the dam leaking. So for months and months and months, each time it rains, and it rains a lot in the Philippines, water would pool on the same area. Oh, let's not even talk about the bathroom. My goodness, I have to replace some of the pipes because it was sitting underwater. Like the one near the... It was underneath the sink. There's like this hose thing. It was metal and it apparently wasn't stainless. Yeah.
So it was rusted.
It was rusted and I had to replace that. And then the flooring part was the most tedious because we had to remove the mildewed, moldy ones with like gunk underneath, and then we had to clean it up, sterilize it with like what did I use? It was bleach, and then we Lysoled it and everything. Ugh.
Good.
Yeah. Sounds like a mold. Yes. The coin movement is really smooth. Really smooth. No, it's the same old coin. See? You're repairing a place I do not own. Yes. The landlord here relegates repairs that are, unless absolutely urgent, which would make the building permit fail, rest on the shoulders of the tenants. Thanks, Doc. It's a
At
doctor.
least on the
home,
bright side, it
sometimes.
means a future tenant's gonna come live in a space that's actually, well, livable at least, you know?
That's
So,
true.
you know,
But the
with
benefit,
yeah. Mhm.
the benefit, though, Vesp,
Sorry.
of having a place like mine
Yes.
is you can pretty much do anything you want with the unit, right? Most landlords won't even allow you to drill into the walls to put hanging stuff and whatnot. I can do anything except break the walls down with a hammer. So yeah.
I mean, you can even get in trouble here in the U.S. for like hanging like LED lights, like with the glue.
Yeah, I've heard
Sometimes
about
you can pull
that.
up paint.
Yeah. Here it doesn't matter. I pretty much own the place, except I still pay rent. I plan to heat metal to torture my DM with nights. Yes. That's when you just give your enemies a high. Oh, let's not talk about the guy my DM came up with. So, he wasn't a mage, he wasn't a sorcerer, he wasn't a skilled swordsman or an archer or a thief. You know what he was? He had a whip. And there was nothing, and I meant nothing I could do because I would trip all the damn time. He would always whip, and I would trip. And I have to spend a... You know how frustrating that was. You see,
I
imagine
could
that.
imagine.
Yeah, so I have a sword, right? All right, per turn I can smack you with it. The guy has a whip. He's gonna hit you. You're gonna on your legs and then pull, and then you're gonna trip. And you have to like stand up after. I think you in Baldur's Gate when we play, for example, you get knocked down, right? And
Yeah.
then you. Anywho, Raxa, so
Not
you're
fun.
doing the landlord's job and paying for your own pocket and still not outplaced? No. Heck, I even had to replace the main circuit breaker of the place. That fell on my shoulders too. Oh god, that was the old 3.5. I remember a whip class that was all about disarming and exactly, Beth. Oh. Oh, why if it isn't Mr. Howler? Hi there. Howler, I didn't know you did art. I saw your account. And your other account. Ah, friends giving each other helping hands. My goodness. Truly the mark of somebody oh so charitable. Oh no.
Every friend gets screened. Don't worry.
I draw maybe 3 times a year. I have to catch up on my art too. Maybe when I move to the new place, perchance I have more table space for my art tablet to be redeployed.
I mean, I'd certainly help. Pieces you've shown me, I actually really do like them.
I'm not good by any measure, chat. I mean, you can tell me. Go to my Twitter and then look at my art. See if it's nice. See if it's good. See if it passes. Speaking of Twitter, did you know that ever since I posted that funny FBT while sitting video, it seems I've attracted the attention of a few artists I really, really love. Like, there's this dragon artist I really like called Echo Faye. And it's like, what? They followed me. My goodness, I feel so flattered. I want to message them and say, I absolutely love your art, and I hope my message serves as motivation to your probably swamped self full of commissions and whatnot. And to all the other artists too that have become mutuals with me. It's flattering. Gosh. I always see these big artists sort of on a pedestal. They're eternally toiling on the wonderful pieces that they're making, and who am I to disturb them or say hello? So yeah, I'm glad you like what you're saying, because I certainly do like what I'm seeing when I check your page. So thank you. What's this? If it isn't Pink Dew, you've been on the Discord very active, and you haven't been following on Twitch yet, Pink. Oh my goodness. All right. No, you came from the under funny side. Right, I
Yes.
remember.
So going from the free trial to actually subscribe to actually having a subscription, huh?
Yes. Beth, thank you so much for giving Pink the magic of not having ads for a month. Oh yes, Beth is very active here. He is quite, well, literally a pillar of support for my streams. The one thing I like about the people who support me is when I see them having a good time with the community. Now, for example, as much as I joke around by saying I'm irritated by the kids playing around and being noisy again in general chat in my Discord, it's actually heartwarming. It's endearing to see people getting along, like genuinely getting along. That's
You
why I
want a
haven't
community Discord? Got community.
Yeah, I'm just very strict with screening people, and if I feel somebody's off, I just please join the other million other
Yeah.
Discords that exist.
Yeah, think of it like, say, being a bouncer at a club. Someone's being reckless, someone's interrupting everything else, someone's causing a disruption.
Or
It's
somebody's
better
just
to just
plain
remove them
weird.
from the equation in general. Yeah.
Hmm. Like,
We don't want drama, we don't want issues, we just want peace, you know?
yes. I want problems. Not. This is my first time watching you live. I saw you on TikTok and I really love your vibe. Why, hi there, Ren. Welcome to the stream. If you want peace, prepare for war, says Howler. War? Ghostly Goober says, wait, didn't you have to go? Or was it somebody else? Goober says, I love the quaint positive energy. I gotta go for now though. There we go. Have a lovely stream day, dudes. I'll see you around. Hope to see you on the next stream. I've been really loving your Discord server. Right? There's no... It's nice when you interact with people that are just really there for a nice, civil, good time. There are certain servers out there that have what I would call toxic positivity. Do you know what I mean, Vesper? So, toxic positivity is when you are coddled and whatnot. And I think the simplest way to put it is you are in a wrong spot in life or doing something that is bad for you, essentially, or and then whatnot. They're reinforcing bad behavior that you have by glossing it as something good under the guise of acceptance, right?
Yeah, no, we're not kind of sorry to coddle you like, oh, it's okay that you're doing this, this, and this. You'll get away from it, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, precisely.
Listen, we're there for you when you're having another issue with a member. Sorry, we're there for you when you're having an issue with another member of the server. You can just DM one of us just fine. If, say, person A is starting an argument in DMs or like in general chat, you just let us know and we'll fix it immediately. You know.
Yeah,
but say,
nice.
Trying to get someone to be your personal therapist.
No.
We're not the server for that.
Yes, if there's somebody causing trouble. That's him. We just want everyone to have a Aladdin time. Yes, a Gabus time, of course. What? Gab drinks hot tea to make his voice deep and cozy. That is probably just from me slowing down my words actively here and when I'm streaming. As you may notice, when I start to speak faster, my pitch increases. Like when we're in games. I play a lot of games with Howler. Wait, a lot of games or a lot of game time, I think. What did we play with Howler? Dragon. Oh, no, we did play more than one game.
Yeah.
I tend to use another name for that, which I think describes it more accurately. Forced positivity. Yes.
Yeah, no, on our server, we don't sugarcoat anything. We're not gonna be, like, coaxing you gently or anything like that. No.
At the same time, we're not the, like, sweaty.
We're not brutal.
Yeah,
not
sweaty,
sweaty moderators,
brutal.
you know?
Yeah, sort of deal. Nah.
Like, yeah, no.
Very casual. Something like that, Traxor, yes. Hola, sorry I'm late. How's the stream going? Oh, it's going great, actually. Yeah, you become closer to Italians. The only Italian I know in the server that I actually talk to would be Kai. Kai's
Kai.
Italian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, if only Kai had the
Although,
funny
honestly,
accent. Che sa paperi putti.
Yeah, no. As far as I
Yeah.
was aware until like Kai actually said it in one of his streams before. I thought he was American, living in the
Same
UK because
here,
he doesn't
same
have
here.
the accent. No, he's Italian. Dang it, Kai, you're deceptive. You're still a good friend,
Yeah.
though.
Was there drama on the server? Not really any fires per se, but there were a lot of, as you can tell, there's heads rolling probably every other day in the server. I'm not even joking on that part.
Yeah.
Most of these are from people that fail to read the rules. My rules are very simple. When you manage to guess the password, just type in your introductions. Right? A simple
Exactly.
how old you are, what your name is, a little something about yourself, and social links if you have to. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that irritates me the most are members who join a Discord server and then they just put their art or whatever they're working on there, and then they don't actively engage with the community at all. Like, why are you even there? Just to advertise? You put up your posters and then you stick it on my wall. Not the place to be. You are in the server because you want to see more of the streamer and the community around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you like the content specifically, it's that like it's that little shop that sells specific wares or talks about specific things, and you're there for that. I've had a member go make a ex-member make a lot of noise on the internet. Unfortunately, I'm blocked, so I can't read the comments. Who brought in their significant other. No, the significant other joined simply because the other member was there too. And then I asked, "Hi there, welcome to the server. So what brought you here?" And then, "Oh, nothing. I like don't really watch your content or anything." And like, "I'm just here because of him." I'm like, "So what are you doing here?" Right? You go to a restaurant and you sit down, but you don't order any meals, right? Nothing at all. So
You
I'm
don't
like,
order anything and then you're rude.
yeah, you're rude. And then, of course, I told them, you know what? Maybe the server's not the place for you. You can just find some place else. And I removed them. Funny enough, I was painted as the villain of this story. Oh, Geb has an ego, and then he's harsh. That, you know, they spun a story which kind of went off tangent with the real narrative. So yeah.
Not to mention, I'm his main and only mod, so say someone gets banned, someone gets kicked, you know, that's all me doing it. That's not him unless he actually absolutely has to take action.
Yeah, pretty much. For shadow government reasons, as Kendall. When are you starting a lasagna restaurant? I don't know. Maybe when I have a house. I'm just joking. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna end up eating all of the stuff I'm gonna sell anyway.
Ah, yes. So you're just consuming more of your own supply than you'd actually give to the public.
Yeah. Like, I would sell it just to have enough funds to buy more lasagna. And I would eat all of like the earnings, and my business would like go downhill real quick. So yeah, no. Excuse me. What's this? The mock says, "You know you've made it when furry drama starts around." I don't know, Monk. Some people just don't know how to move on, and for some odd reason, they enjoy. What is the English term? Like, they relish drama and clout chasing. They just do. Instead of forcing or like focusing on the positives of somebody, like any sort of good act that they've done, those are completely erased and not discussed, and they will focus on the one minute little thing that will paint them as a villain instead.
I mean,
They're
they've
gonna make
done
that
it
the whole
to-
portfolio about the person.
I mean, heck, they even did that to like a few dead guys on the internet too. Like, yeah, it's not looking good if you're trying to cancel a dead guy who's been dead for like a few years.
I have no idea who
Let
that
him
is,
rest in peace.
but that's news to me.
Yeah, I think there was either 2, 3 instances of that
I need more
happening.
drinks.
Only one that I can recall off the top of my head, though.
Where the hell is my drink? There it is. Eh? Oh, it's there. Sorry.
But yeah, the negatives tend to get more sensationalized than the positive side, the good things about people, you know?
Because kind
people
things
like to
are
focus on the
boring.
negatives.
Yep.
And drama elicits adrenaline, yada yada yada, whatever else. So, I'll actively seek it.
Oh, big yuck. Super big yuck. Please be well, Beth. What's this? What's happening to Beth? Oh, okay. If you're gonna get some air, yeah, please, by all means. Take your time. Gonna drink. I'm parched. Ooh, yeah. That's some strong lemonade. Ooh. Anyway, the mock says.
It's that blueberry lemonade again.
Oh, it's different. It's milder, but it's stronger than the usual. I've joined recently and I'm a little busy for posting things. Just in the server to keep updated. Get stream alerts and know when VR chat events happen. That's completely okay. I do take peeks here and there though. Me, bare minimum is the introductions, that's it. Working 6 days a week, continues Monks, doesn't leave you with a lot of time for things such as these. I'm happy I get to watch when I can. Oh, come on, Monks. If I'm holding you back from your job and you would rather have a nap, like sneak in a nap, please, I will not hold it against you if you close my funny little live.
Yeah, we care about your well-being more than viewership, honestly. So, say you need a nap, you've got something to do, you've got this, that, and the other thing going on. You can hop off stream. You don't actually have to be here, you know.
Yeah.
We're happy if you join. Happy if you need to back away and do things for yourself. You're good.
Precisely.
Don't worry.
I've had many comments about people falling asleep during my lives. And it's more flattering than anything, really. Like, hey, you get to relax, get some rest. We're all tired in this crummy little world of ours anyway. Hello, Vexing Cat. Traxxer says, negative speak about someone always seems to outweigh anything positive nowadays. Really sad IMO, but you just gotta keep moving on. That's true. Alright, moms. I'll believe you. It is rather soothing and relaxing here. No, of course. That's all I do, really. I chat. Thank you so much, Vexing, and welcome to the stream. How long have we been live? 1 hour and 9 minutes. Oh, we are pretty much halfway into our little quota. What to do after? Do I get some rest? Do I fix my social needs by having a little hangout? Or just...
The question is, how many hours of rest did you have? Because you could nap first before any of that, you know?
The thing is, Ves, when I hop onto VR and I have all my trackers, I want to have it on until they die and then not have it again until I actually need to stream. Right? Because I find it such a chore to put the full body on. I have 10 trackers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Takes me at least like 5 to 10 minutes to prepare. Why? Because it sounds odd, right? Normally it's like a 40-second ordeal. My slimes don't have integrated batteries. There's an advantage to that and a disadvantage. Advantage, just swap it out if your old cell runs out, put in a new battery. Voila. This and disadvantage. Well, first I have to put all my slimes flat on the surface, and then I have to go take each cell from the charger, slide it in. So all 10. And then, because I'm underneath the loft bed, I have to do that all the while crouched and yeah. It's a lot of prep. And then I have to go do my little calibration ritual. Yes. Anywho, that's why whenever I'm in VR, I tend to make the most of my time here.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm out of VR, I'm like, yeah, I'll see you next stream. Listening to stream while drawing makes me sleepy. That's okay. Unless you have something to, well, accomplish drawing wise pink. Dear round, Zoxy. Yes, halfway towards the halfway of a half. Howler, by the way, me and Vesper have been doing a little bit of the red quests. You may want to get to the part where you end up in a elven fortress. That's what we can say.
Good luck.
Good luck. Godspeed, Hunter. There was a ton of experience. Oh. I had to level up my sorcerer so I could get the level 6 skills. Have you been doing your job master quests?
I just had to unlock the area rank.
Oh, yeah, right. Where was the area thingy for your job quests? I forget.
I can't remember off the top of my head either, sorry.
Guess we'll find out later. Because when you put your skills into level 6, a new enhanced effect happens. Anywho.
Mm-hmm. All part of the fun of finding out.
Scale says, "You still drawing that Geb one you showed the preview of the other day to Pink June?" I guess we'll find out, Blue. Top 10 anime betrayal. No, think of it as us scouting ahead. I wouldn't be surprised if Matthews is done 100%ing the repeatable quests, if that even makes sense. Trailblazing. Matthew says, "I reached IVAD, my area master, but I haven't started noting End Purification main. End Purification? The Temple of Purification, you mean? What's your current red quest, Matthew? Wow, my tongue is so dry. Huh.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Yes. They don't call me a hydrate Gaia for nothing.
Hydragea, yep.
Yeah, look at Vesper when I drink. Finish the
I
temple,
can still
good.
see you. Good.
That's... Okay, maybe I put too much powder in this one. Ooh, that is so sour. Anyway, Bess says, oh my goodness, I didn't know other people said hydrate or dihydrate. Vesper says at the whole.
Hi, I'm Vesper. I said that. I say that.
I love Vesper's hair. Oh, isn't she absolutely lovely?
Thank you.
To those who may have noticed and are new to streams, Vesper has the same headset as me. I also handle her. Well, I enhanced the base face tracking that the Luna Beast has, hence you may notice a few things that is not present on the base model.
Yeah. Some edits, some changes, customization, all thanks to him.
A little tweaks here and there. Stormwolf already did a wonderful edit of the Nova Beast itself, but sometimes you will want to have a custom fit for the suits that we have tailored.
Mm-hmm.
Any good solo game recommendations? I've only really played competitive team games. If you want to have a meditative experience and improve your management/arithmetic skills, you're going to have a fun time in a game called Factorio. Do you want to have a long saga which involves moral choices, complications, yet a sandbox theme as well? Go play this game called RimWorld. Oh, please. I suggest renaming your colonists to be all your friends and then start from there. Do you have a knack for assembling things and processing things, but having to see it firsthand? Oh, please. I can recommend none other than Space Engineers with mods. A couple of 100 hours. The first time I ever pulled a 3-day all-nighter. RimWorld is genuinely so fun. You must expand the factory. If it's RPG games, go play Skyrim with the mod pack. If your PC can't handle it and you don't like 3D, go play a mod pack in Terraria. Oh, trust me, if it's combat RPG and a myriad of bosses and items, character classes and builds, Terraria's the place to play. What else? If you want a cooperative third-person action RPG, think of it as Dark Souls but less frustrating and more guns. You play this game called Remnant 2. It's the game that me and Vesper recently finished. It's really fun.
Yes, I especially loved one of the certain armors you can get to.
Yeah.
Very sort of spooky doll yes.
Oh my goodness. Do you remember that spooky thing in the ruins world, the forest ruins, where there was the statues that were invulnerable and would chase you when you're not looking?
Yeah.
Yes, the
I
jump
remember
scare.
Gab, hey, help.
And
help,
why is it
help.
only in that area, right? Why do they have that spooky element there?
It's like Weeping Angels all over again.
Yeah. Also, the nice thing about Remnant is the narrative change. It's like, it's a multiverse. There's a campaign, but then there are different world lines for it. It plays out differently, and what? The antagonist is now the one we're working for, and then you reveal more truths, and then now it's all muddled because who actually is the bad guy, and what is the right choice to do? Characters that were not meant to exist anymore suddenly exist here and whatnot. It's amazing. Yeah, it's something like the Weeping Angels, Beth. Hello, Skywine.
Oh god, I remember one of the characters making me so sad too. Do you remember?
Was it the Custodian? It was the Custodian over at that futuristic world. Oh man, he's been there for eons. Oh, wait, I'm not gonna spoil it.
Nope.
I'm gonna spoil
No spoilers.
Dimbo
I'm gonna
said-
say it made me sad.
Oh yeah. With the bittersweet ending though. because we brought somebody home in their stead.
Mhm.
A little poetic robot. I just saw you have an Africa Twin in your throne. Do you ride? Yes, the Africa Twin is my dream bike. Like, if and when I manage to buy it, I think I can consider my streaming career successful. Right? It's the one machine I really yearn for. Ever since I sat on it, um, was it 2019? Yeah, when early 2019, when things were still existing. I went to a motorbike show and I saw it. Nice white, blue, and red, standing tall, separating itself from the usual red, orange, green, black crown. Understated yet bold. And I knew like this was the bike for me. I've sat on the Ducati, like was at the Multistradas. I've sat on the BMW GS. I've sat on the Himalayan, which is honestly pretty crap. No, there was no Himalayan back then. It was something else. What was it? I can't remember. Oh, the Suzuki. It was the yellow one. But when I saw the Africa Twin, it's like it spoke to me. Like it resonated with my soul. I said, you know what? One day, before I turn into an old man, I will take you home. And we will go out on adventures. So yeah. Just don't jump it. Oh, please. Beth. Me jump, please. What are the odds I'm gonna do that? I'm not gonna jump the bike, Vesper. Don't worry.
Yeah, we don't need another incident of what you ending up underneath a van, an old lady's van. That one time you tried.
Look. One, that was on a homemade vehicle, okay? Two, the old lady was nice to me and all I got was scrapes and I had to pay like $50 to fix her fender and yeah. And I had a nice chat with her too. Yeah, I was on the street, bleeding and everything. It was like she was talking about her garden. Oh, she was giving me like betadine on cotton swabs. You know what betadine is? Like the iodine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, the odds are greater than zero. It's the same way as us saying, I'm never gonna jump off a building. But like if there's a fire and you really have to, so the odds can never really be zero. It's the same thing with that. I'm not gonna jump the bike, Beth. Don't worry, okay? I'm gonna baby the thing. Jump wise, I cannot promise that it won't get muddy, nor will it be crossing shallow rivers, which is what it's meant to do. But the jumping parts, it's honestly too heavy for it. My goodness. See you around, Cube. You see, in the States, sports bikes are okay. Sports bikes are really like this. You're crouched, right? And they're called crotch rockets for a reason.
Yeah.
The thing is, those aren't the best for your wrist or your back in the long run. There's a reason why the older folks, they go ride the couch on wheels. They either end up riding cruisers, or it's just like that, or adventure bikes where it's slightly lower. But the suspension is so plush. That's why you see all of these Starbucks riders, as they call it, on their BMWs, right? But for me, I fell in love with adventure bikes, the do-all bike. I'll stay with my S1000 forever. Yes. Also, why sports bikes aren't really a big thing here in the Philippines. One, we do not have long stretches of road. Literally. Two, we do not have stretches of roads that are properly paved. Predominantly, once you're outside of the city, it's all potholes, rough asphalt, if any, that's loose, or you're just in hard dirt and gravel or mud. Hence, an adventure bike is needed. A sports bike, oh my goodness, all you can do is like ride from Manila to Clark, for example, which is a 2-3 hour straight line ride, and that's it. And there's a speed limit too. In the States, you can do state to state, right? Very fast and everything. Right? Like that's fine. Here you can't do that. Yeah, in the
It's like a
city,
2-hour
it's
drive from,
traffic.
like, say, the middle of the state to another state. So
Yeah,
in the cities,
2-hour drive.
lots of the traffic.
Here, it's a 2-hour drive from my city to another part of my city because of the traffic. It's not even the city limits. Yeah. The Husker van. Oh, those are good. The Huskies, or honestly, if you want a bike that you won't really have to look after but will work forever, just get the Kawasaki KLRs. They're like 600cc single cylinder bikes that don't really have any modern tech to them, but I see that as an advantage. They're not the best performance wise, they're not the best at anything, but they sure as heck are durable. Not the Ninja.
It's
Ugh.
the jack of all trades.
Yeah, a low-tech jack of all trades. But there is a reason why I believe it's the US Army or the Marines, why they picked that particular model and they made it to be able to run on diesel or any fuel. There was a prototype for that. Please correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I just remember reading an article on it.
I don't know anything about the U.S. military, army, or any other branch like that, so I wouldn't know. I can't fact check you there.
I love riding the twisties too. Yeah, that's what we call it here, the twisties. That's when I'm in the mountains. But I am very much happy with my sports touring bike. I wouldn't really call the Versus an adventure bike, but it can handle very light off-road. I have the Versus 1000 a floofy, and let me tell you, it is probably one of the most comfortable things I've ever ridden, and it's so planted too. I also heard you talk about the Himalaya. My friend has the Himalayan 450, the Royal Enfield one. Power-wise, it's garbage. but it's a no-fuss bike to drive. It's heavy a bit, yeah, and the styling is a bit dated. But it's pretty robust. Yeah, it's a crappy 450. The CF, if there's a 400cc category bike, I would suggest for off-road, just get the CF Moto. I think in the States it's called the Ibex. Here it's called the CF Moto 450 MT. These are interchangeable terms for me. Adventure bikes and dual sports. The KLX 230. The thing is with pure off-roading bikes is you can't really use knobbies for daily commuting. I tried it. The noise and the vibration eventually drew me nuts, along with me having zero traction when I'm on asphalt while it's raining. And let's not talk about the wobble. Because you're riding on the treads, you're gonna feel your bike like do that. It's like you're in water. Figured I'll need a bike. Yeah. If, in all honesty, China is getting really good with their bikes, that I would give full recommendations to CF Moto. Really. I mean, they use KTM parts. Yeah, CF Moto is fantastic. They aren't scared of innovating things. I have seen CF Moto bikes that are cheaper than the big brands, but they have more tech in it. And they're more daring with like the body designs and whatnot. What was this new bike they have? The 675 SR. It's a inline 3, I think, and it sounds so good. Or the CF Moto Vroom 500. It was a 500cc inline 4, and it had this fantastic retro styling to it. Like it was like a cafe racer with two lights in front. Or was the lights actually like Ram Air Van? I don't know, but I love CF Moto. I don't own one, but I really like their bikes. Actually, yeah, they are. Funny enough. The whole mentality that Chinese bikes are garbage, it doesn't really apply to today's units anymore. They've quickly come up and tightened the standards of their production to such a degree that a lot of people are finding it hard to admit that these Chinese bikes are, well, good if not better than the big brands. The 700CL, I do believe that's the single headlight with the X style. It looks like a scrambler more than anything. Oh, yeah, you make me talk about bikes again on stream. Sorry, Vesper.
It's not a crime. I just don't understand half of it because I don't drive. I don't bike. You know.
I know. That's why you gotta pick up. Like you gotta learn to bike. No, you want a Unity or 3D? No.
I mean, I know how to like ride a bicycle. That's for sure. That's all. But, yes, that would be pretty handy skills that I'd have to learn at some point, anyways. You know.
Yes, that's true.
It's just when I get the time, you know.
Hold on. It says my drive is running out of space. From what? But yeah, look at Vesper
TikTok
while I
Studio
go.
is not open.
Yeah. Let me
So-
fix it real quick.
Is the amount of tabs you have open on Firefox?
No, that only eats up RAM. Anyway, I will do a hard disk scan live. Why do I
Anyways,
only
yes, hi
have...
chat. I'm your entertainment for the time being.
Yep. Oh no, boys talking about bikes again. That's why when I find a girl who like talks tech, games or like bikes, I'm impressed. Like I would vibe really quick with them. Unfortunately, those are
I'm-
very few and far in between.
Still learning, anyways.
Yeah, Vesper pretty much has a large unwritten portfolio. She's still very much early into life. I mean, heck, when I was a college student, I didn't have crap either. Blue scale
I
says.
mean, I've got an instrument under my belt, but that's about it.
I like how Vesper has become a lot more vocal than she used to be, especially when I watched my first stream. Vesper stream, says Bev. Oh my god, thank you, Bev. Thank you, Bev. Dash Vesper. Come on, entertain chat while I go troubleshoot my storage.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Bev paid good money for you.
That pay good money. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Thankfully for you, but yeah.
Paying me to do Unity work for you there.
Oh, and look at that. Yep.
Come on, do the
Thank you,
thing.
Beth.
Why are you
What thing?
conscious now? Why are you conscious now? Come on, talk about your favorite band like Soundgarden. I mean,
Oh my
Sleep Token.
god,
There we go.
no. Oof.
Yeah, you were
Why do you want
going
me to
on
ramble
about.
on about my interests? I don't
Because
think
people
I
want to
don't.
know your interests. Right,
Okay,
right.
okay. Really?
Yeah, go ahead. Come on, I'm analyzing my hard drive anyway.
Alright, alright. Well,
Yeah, what are Vesper into? What are her interests?
let's see. I'm very much into art,
Don't say it like that.
music, video games. Yeah, my favorite band in particular right now is Sleep Token. Not really a big surprise considering how popular they are. And, well, let's be honest, at least everyone at least likes some form of edgy music. I mean, even Geb with his Linkin Park.
What? Linkin Park's edgy? Okay.
Let's see.
What or why you like the music from them? Ask Waffle.
Oh, well, there was a time before I'd even met Geb where I'd just sit in a certain world in VR chat, in a treehouse in specific, and, well, I was sitting there using a Quest 2. So oftentimes, I was alone. Nobody would really come to say hello, even though I had like 30 friends on VR chat at the time. So I'd sit there, I'd listen to the rain that the world had, but I'd also, well, put on Sleep Token's music and sort of keep myself a little bit of company that way.
Very sad, yes. I didn't mean to downplay
I mean, hey,
it.
it's a lot. I mean, hey, at least I'm doing a lot better now. I've got friends that actually engage with me, you know. I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah, that's true. You see, Vesper used to be a little bit of a. What do you call it? Had only herself as company sort of deal before she bumped into me and the eventual friends that we've made. So yeah, also I'm still scanning. I have 800 MB left. Oh dear, chat.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm not I'm not very social outside of, well, when friends are present, so oftentimes, say I'm in a public instance, I'll be like right by Geb's side because people there, and it's loud, so it's just, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to a safe spot. It's not that I don't want to say hi or hello, it's just more of there's a lot going on, so I'd prefer to like back away, take it easy. And as to answer Waffle Carp's question, nope, I actually haven't. Number one, I'm kind of broke, college student, you know. I don't have a lot of free time on my hands because I'm always running around doing this, that, and the other thing, because number one, I don't live alone. Number two, student. Number three, I also work outside of, well, this, too.
Yes. She's a working student.
Most I can do is, well, listen to the music on like my headphones or something like that, you know? I love the music. I just I'm iffy about, like, say, seeing them live, you know, because that's a huge crowd of people.
I'm 10% away from completing the scan. So yes, take this opportunity, Vesper. Ah,
Let's see, what else? A lot of what got me into art, well, some of the interests I've got right now, like heck, especially being like a furry, is like early in, like getting into the internet, like say 2015, 2014, I don't quite remember. I found Friday the Fridays and like saw all this community stuff, like, oh, artwork here, artwork there, all these OCs, all these songs, pieces, and all that. Like, I want to do that myself. So, started drawing, started making characters, started doing this, that, and the other thing, and yeah, I'm a black, white, and orange cosmic space furry before, yeah.
there you have it, chat. A segment of Vesper. I hope you enjoy that. Thank you. Oh, wow, come on. Kendall. I think Vesper just answered that question about having her earliest memories in VR. But as for how long...
Oh, my earliest memory? Oh, I've been here since 2020, actually. Different account, of course, but it's been like 5 years. I used to run around VR chat as like a little, what was it? Those little like white and black birds, 2 little dot eyes and a little triangle for a beak. I just sit there in the corner the entire time just staring at other people because I didn't want to interact.
The burb, says Matthew. A veteran, says
The burb,
Kendall.
yep. Far from it, I'd say, because I'm not like, oh, VR chat's like a social platform sort of game, right? I didn't socialize. I just stuck to a corner.
We're improving on that aspect, aren't we, Vesp? Also, my hard drive scan isn't complete yet. I'm using the Tweak Now Disk Analyzer to show me what is eating up my files. People watching is fun. When I was younger, I've always wanted one of those super telephoto lenses. I was fascinated by the concept of binoculars. Because like being able to see so far is like, wow, that's amazing. And I don't have to be there, right? I could just be on the balcony of my house and look at the trees and the mountains nearby. And then now there are like telephoto lenses in which you can see kilometers away. Like, wow. Speaking of which, oh yes, Beth and the telescope, I forget. Beth says, there is a free app called Tree Size. It will show you what folder is eating disk space. Speaking of folder, there we go. So what is eating up my thing? Users.
It's definitely not me because we've established that my avatar, as high poly as it is, it's not causing that much issues, right?
No. It's storage space. It's eating it up. Summary. Really? Oh, there we go. How do we... Let me grab my mouse real quick. Let's free up 12 gig. Open folder location. Wow. Delete and then this funny thing too. Open folder location. Ah, no wonder. I forgot about this thing. I had to subdivide so much. My Blender file for the avatar is like 12 gig and there's a bunch of autosaves. Yeah. Let's solve that real quick. Alright. That recycle bin REC. There we go. Click the recycle bin. Ooh, whoa. That's a ton. Yeah, I'm here. Empty. And there we go. My PC can breathe again. 12 gig. 12 gig Kendall. I'm not kidding. Wow. It really bloated up. Subdivision 10. Well, I think it was also for my 3D printing thing. Because I had to subdivide the model and patch up. So it's, yeah. Anyway, that's good now. Traxor says, I got gifted a 7 to 300mm lens for my Canon T2i recently. It might be one of the coolest and most fascinating things ever. Oh, I wouldn't even be surprised. Are you removing stuff you don't need on your PC? Of course. Like I'm dumping everything into my 14 terabyte little NAS. Speaking of which, I need to expand my storage. I keep recordings of every stream I make, and on average, they are around 9 or 10 gigabytes. So it's starting to pile up. And I want to keep an archive of everything too, without having to rely on the say of YouTube and whatnot. Glary Utilities is free, says Neko Thunder, and has a lot of useful features. It can bring back deleted files or destroy files completely. It can clean temp files, scan, and show what exactly is taking up your space. Ah, okay. It reminds me of this website before called Major Geeks, which I used to get all the software for my PC from there. 14, yeah, I have a little enclosure with it's very small. It only has 5 drives. I've set it to RAID something. So I have one which mirrors it, and then some of them are in RAID 02 for performance. It's important to have backups that doesn't rely on the cloud. You know, these Western Digital Red, the Iron Wolves, are really nice. Was it Western Digital? I don't even remember. Speaking of 3D printing, says Kendall, I saw something you can do with the waste for the community. Oh, what would that be? Also, see you, Terb. Whoa, Lem. Iron Wolf, yeah, Seagate then, Seagate. Yeah, I got the Iron Wolves. It was relatively cheap. I know. Hey, man, that's all I could afford. Discussing on the topic, I need to expand. You're right. But do you know how much these drives are here? It was a miracle I was able to save up for it even. Oh my goodness, that's so pricey. I think I have 20% capacity left. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Do I delete my old streams and... Man, it's another expenditure if I'm gonna upgrade. I only HDDs. Oh my god. NVMe arrays? No money for that. To be fair, but it's so fast. You know what else is fast, Beth? The money draining in my wallet the moment I order that. So I'm gonna read reviews like, ooh, NVMe in mass setup. Like, okay. And then I'm gonna see how pretty the numbers are and what's such a small form factor too. And then I'll be tempted to buy, and then my Africa twin will be delayed even further. It just means I need to get the bike before my storage gets filled up. That's probably gonna be my biggest motivator. You know, $40 is not easy to come by, right?
In a country where the average salary is like what, $12 a day?
$12 to $15 per day.
Ye-
Day, not hours. So yeah. Doran, you probably want to buy the external like enclosure for it then. Like, it's a little USB 3 thing. Here is storage. I'm sure Vesper here needs some storage as well.
I'm good for now.
For now.
Yeah, my performance isn't downgraded or anything, you know. And I get rid of files as soon as I don't need them. So, like, say an FBX or something that I need to send over to send over, you know.
Oh, the moment you start doing Unity or Blender work, you're gonna feel the limitations of your
Then-
current.
Yeah, because I'm gonna need all of them. But for the time being, I am not doing anything Unity, Blender, you know.
Oh my! Wow, why is it worse than before?
Sour.
Oh,
Oh boy.
I am drinking some really sour lemonade, yeah. And for some reason, it's even more sour. Did I not shake this thing? Duct tape the drive to the wall, but plug it to the PC. Yes. Sorry, I didn't know about that. It's no need to apologize. It's just most technology that is readily available in the United States. You see, in the Philippines, food is cheap. Rent is cheap to you. But the prices of electronics doesn't go down in my country. So for example, buying a storage device in HDD for $50, we would pretty much have to work the entire week just to afford one. It's yeah. You just have to like do one shift and you can like buy two. Can you imagine? So yeah. I love sour stuff. Hello, Harl. Oh, I'm not reading your name. Almost fell. Hold on. Let's go check Discord. Excuse me for a minute while I go DM things. The poker chip mold. Oh, that looks nice, Kendall. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have a protogen. Okay. Ah, it's a bee. It's a ghost. Okay. A funny face by Cube. Okauju. Osmis. I'm looking at all the people who have just joined. Popped in midstream. Resetting work. Okay. You might see Gebos in the background. Jurassic World. All right. All right. Okay. I'm reading general chat. Yeah, we're removing 20 levels from blue scales. Moving on. I attended 3 or 4 streams. Interesting. Anyway, the second purge of blues levels. Oh, if it entertains the masses, why not, right? Did you say protogen? Oh, yes. I was reading the introductions over at my Discord, and I happened upon a particularly blue and predominantly yellow protogen. Hail from TikTok, says Cold Smith Gaming. I love how your Abby looks, especially the shop. Thank you. People have been asking me about my shaders. I'm simply using Poyomi and then realistic lighting. There's nothing fancy to it. If you want to look fancy, look at Vesper. She has what you call multi-layer matte. Oh, sorry for the zoom in. There we go. I wonder if we can get a better angle. So we're gonna do another Vesper flyby. As you may notice, never mind, the lighting here kind of sucks. It's kind of dark. Cinematic light, others, 3%. There we go. As you may notice, Vesper has a different settings for her shaders. It's not as flat as mine. She has more of a reddish tone to her shadows and whatnot. Here to there. Yes. Vesper really relishing the moment, the showcase. Yes, Ves, people like you.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Ooh, a yellow protogen. Aha! I thought you didn't want to stream. Come on, I can't let you guys down now, right? Also, hi, Litz. I'm surprised you dropped by. Greetings. How are things going? Do you perchance have your dongles working already? Are they still kaput in reliability? Mitzi did go through his fair share of troubleshooting earlier. It looks so crispy. Oh my, how quickly time flies. We are on our last 30 minutes. Soon enough you shall be free of boring old me. You might miss this particular person though. Oh, high leg. No, it's no bueno. I didn't have time to try again. Shucks. Still no fixing the full body setup of Blitz. That's not good. I mean, you can always do the other suggestion that me and Mitzi have come up with, and that's using the base stations that you actually own. But now that all the guests are gone, I can clean my Alright. Sure. Time needs to slow down. Come on, Spartan. I wish time would slow down. You know what? Never mind. It's a dynamic thing. If I say time will slow down while sleeping, it's not going to be that convenient because sometimes you actually want to skip time while you're unconscious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But then
Me-
you're like me, say sometimes you got issues sleeping and then you wake up 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., back to bed, and then it's 9 a.m. finally.
No, any semblance towards the video you're seeing is completely fictional, okay? That's a disclaimer.
I can. Yeah, maybe next stream I bring out Nightlight to block that.
Sounds smart. Well, dinner calls. I'll catch you again. See you around. Thanks for dropping by. You know, what if we do the complete opposite, Best? What if we could make tonight a short stream? Yes. Instead of me going my usual 2 hours and a half and then I delay and then becomes 3.5, 4. What if I go skedaddle rather early? But that would be unexciting, wouldn't it? Use the VR chat test cube. That's true.
Hold on, can I?
Oh. Going with the actual idea.
No, I cannot.
That's fine.
Not possible.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, I've gotten a certain plush buddy that I could use to block it.
Are you streaming tomorrow or Saturday? I will most likely stream on Monday again. Depending if I have the energy. If I feel bountiful and everything and the juice is there, sure, why not? But I actually worry because if you remember me saying I was gonna ask for a short stream break because I have to focus on moving, I don't want to disappear from the lives for more than a week, right? We all know how short the attention spans of people are. I know you are gonna stick around. I can say for the rest. Twitch has a funny way of dropping you from the algorithm once you're inconsistent in raking in money for a certain Beth. Yes. Where can I find a stream schedule? It's Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. This week and next week is going to be the exception because I'm going to be in the middle of moving. Normally, I stream at 10:30 p.m. my time plus a GMT. So for the Americans, that's around before lunch. So you see me before lunch during your lives. I mean, my lives. For the Europeans, Germany, and whatnot, that would be 7-hour difference. Sometime in the afternoon. But yes, as Blue said, it would be better if you join the Discord because I am active there 24/7. Regardless if I stream on the day or not, I'm always there. And you also get access to this funny channel called Stream Pings, which will notify you when I go live. I don't really post the whole, oh, I'm gonna stream on my Twitter and whatnot, because I think it's just unnecessary clutter. Live notifications will always be on the Discord. And Big Gabber always watching. Friday, not Thursday. How close are you to fully moving into the apartment? Percentage-wise, probably half. Because I only have half of my time limit remaining. It's currently the 8th. And I signed the lease on the 15th. Good night, Pink June. See you around. Is the time up or no? Not yet. We still have around 25 minutes. I mean, I could go early if you want.
Just probably shouldn't be sticking around past our 2 hours and 30 minutes mark.
Yes, I will most likely not extend stream tonight. So I can go stream again. The random popcorn emote mid-conversation can always happen. Doran is starting to pick up. Wait, I read it in the wrong way. The random popcorn emote mid-conversation can always happen. Question for you, my vexing cat. Who designed your model? The base model. Oh, God. Before it was, are you Filipino? Okay, the base model is the Hydragea. I call it Hydragea. I think it's Hydragea. I call it the Hydra in short. It's made by TokyoZilla. You can check them out over at Gumroad. As for the edits, well, I just fumbled around in Blender and then here we are. This door and says, God damn it, Geb. I can't believe you've done this. Do you know what that means?
I can't believe you've done this.
Can't believe you've done this. That's
Oh, I
that's how
remember.
you hear Thor. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Window time for me. Oh man. We're poking fun at Doran because Doran is English, right? What is English sounding? Summer beach episode when? You mean is stream wise or we're in the beach and we have like our swim clothing? I don't think summer is anytime nearby. That's like June.
Yeah, we're starting to settle back into Halloween season.
Yes, if anything, it's gonna be Halloween and Mariah Carey season. Mm-hmm.
If I hear All I Want for Christmas one more time, I'm gonna explode. I hear that
at work.
At work, yes. You know, half the time there was Christmas music playing overhead. It was just All I Want for Christmas, so I'd have to put my headphones on while I was like sitting there like organizing things and putting things back where they're supposed to be, because listening to the same song on repeat, especially that song, it tends to get annoying. It's not like, it's fine when, say, like, it's music you like, music that you're willing to listen to regularly, but then, all I want for Christmas, no.
All I want for Christmas is you. Would you rather have Mariah? Or would you have Alvin and the Chipmunks playing? while working?
Honestly, with the fact that I hear so much brain rot off, say like I'm cashier now. I hear so much brain rot at this point. I'd prefer Alvin and the Checkmunks.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. Oh, when I was younger, having that play on the cassette tape all the darn time. Mhm. And then when the uncles and the aunties are like have the wine already out and they're eating, it transitions to like Michael Bublé or like Frank Sinatra. Oh, the classic singers of like of Christmas. The Mariah Carey. Yep. Let's. If chat requests it, it becomes a popular demand. I could see into looking at a summer episode of a stream. You willing to work on that, Vance?
Oh, that one might be a little bit of an issue though, considering we're not those hot tub streams. I'd probably have to find like a different swim outfit.
Yes, because the default outfit by the Nova Beast. To be fair, you're not gonna be breaking any TOS. It's actually quite modest, if anything.
It's just.
Don't worry
Still,
about it. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out if it actually becomes like popular demand.
Yeah, let's see. We can always ask on Discord. Speaking of which, I am working on a swimming trunks asset, which coincides with Litz's little
Yeah.
topic of discussion. What's this? Lauren says, I have a dying English European accent and I cannot wait to get rid of it fully. I see. Well, I think you sound absolutely fantastic. I mean, you would fit perfectly in like Kingdom Come Deliverance. You know, and what's his name? The potato-looking protagonist. Yeah. In Kingdom Come Deliverance. Fantastic. Classical accent. What's the best part about living in the Philippines? The policeman lets you beat up. That policeman lets you dole out the justice before they bring the thieves, muggers, and lowly miscreants into, well, the precinct. You get a few punches here and there. The police here are very flexible. Well, not really flexible, more like they tolerate things. If they know you're a wrongdoer, oh boy. I expect the whole town to jump on you.
They're kind of competent in comparison to the US.
Yeah, in the States, it's like the police officers there, from what I've seen in the videos, I'm not saying everybody is, they're absolutely robotic. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah. But I don't want to talk about policemen here on stream. Moving on. Best part about the Philippines, really, that I can tell you is the food. Oh my goodness. You're gonna see food of all cultures here. Well, from Asia, predominantly. There's gonna be a ton of Japanese food, Chinese cuisine. You have your Malaysian, your Thai, your Vietnamese, and then your Filipino food on its own. And they're all so cheap. Well, not Japanese, they're expensive. But they're also cheap. And here in the Philippines, in each and every corner, you're going to find somebody flipping around sticks of barbecues and whatnot. There's always somebody grilling. You're gonna smell it. Every corner, you're gonna find somebody selling fried chicken by the buckets. Every corner, you're going to find somebody selling street food, essentially. Food is something also preciously abundant for purchase in this country. Spanish food is, there's the paella, and I don't eat much Spanish food. Spanish sardines. I gotta run to put together my bags for flight today. I'll be back in 30 minutes if you're still delaying me. Please, Beth, go focus on your your helicopter transport. Yes, I'll still be here if I'm still here. They say the ladies are really nice too in the Philippines. That is true. Expanding on that scope, Filipino hospitality is pretty much second to none. Some people say we're nosy. We are. Because we stick our nose into other people's business, whether good or bad. But it also means that there will always be a stranger to rely on if you have trouble. For example, you walk in the rural areas, you're gonna see not a lot of us are well off. We have like little wooden shacks or houses and whatnot. If they see you walking by and you look mildly inconvenienced or you're tired, they say, "Hoy, tara, kain tayo. Saan ka pupunta?" And if they see that you don't understand the language, it translates to, "Hey, you, where are you going? Come, eat with us, eat with us. Where are you from?" like it's the invitation first before the questions about the person. And they actually mean it. So you're gonna see us like eating rice with fish and everything, and then you pass by or you join us in conversation. Automatically, we're gonna start, while mid-conversation, we're gonna start putting food on the plate for you, stranger or not. Google it. Ask anybody about Filipino hospitality. You have no place to stay, just ask somebody. Like, I'm sorry, I lost my this and that, or I don't have a place to stay. And then mostly these business owners and whatnot will like let you stay. And okay, no problem. Stay here first. Okay, until you can get yourself sorted out. No problem. Ask your Filipino friends. Yeah. The thing is, expect us, again, to be nosy. So, it's just simple curiosity, really. We're gonna go, "Oh, really? So are you married? Is your wife beautiful? I bet she is." "Oh, very nice long legs." Like, you're gonna receive compliments. We're very straightforward with our answers. But we smile while saying it. If you want to warm your heart and feel at home with the people, despite not having the best governance and systems that you've gotten used to, like great public transportation, the Philippines is the place to be. Regardless of who or what you are, we're probably the friendliest people around. It's only really most of the modern city folk that have become a bit more jaded to others. But like 99% of us are as I've described. Of course, the online games are a different matter. We are absolutely competitive in any PvP scene. So there's a bit of toxicity there. There's a reason we're called P-Noise online. But it's all in good fun, really. MMORPGs are our jam. Now it's like League of Legends and whatever. Another hydrant, huh? Okay. How would you compare it to what you've heard of Southern hospitality over here from what you've heard of it? Oh, I heard about Southern hospitality. Yep, I'm not gonna expand on that. So, based on the historical videos I've watched, aka movies, when I hear South, I always think of that other alternative flag, right? And the whole Confederates thing. So, when you say Southern hospitality, if I'm a little bit melatonic, as I would call it, pigmented per se.
Melatonic? Melatonic. Like
melatonin.
sleepy.
No, wait.
Someone-
What do you call the pigmentation again?
It's melanin.
Melanin. Melanistic. There we go. Right? Is that gonna be the same? I'm joking, of course. This joke stems from me watching this gameplay videos about it was the Civil War game, and it was really funny because a lot of people will get into the role. I forgot. So you had to load your muskets manually and everything, and there was friendly fire. It's like, hold on a gosh darn minute. You sound kind of. Alright, let's stop right there. Extremely jealous of that, says Traxor. Food is very difficult to navigate in the US if you understand what I mean. I'm on a low sugar, calorie, high protein diet. Hard to do that here. I see. Ooh, Vesper, please and thank you.
Yep.
I cannot. I just fell in love with your voice, says Imaru the Wolf. Even if I don't understand English. Oh, I think you're doing absolutely fantastic. Would you prefer it to be colder or drier? Colder. Blue says, when I'm more financially stable, I think I'll go on holiday for a week or two to the Philippines. You're making it sound like an excellent place. Also try to learn Tagalog before going, so I can misunderstand. Oh, please, by all means. Delicious, delicious water. The country that for barely 4 years. I see. All right, Axel. Is there a reason the Philippines has so many furries? Ironic. I have Ion, Saber, Misty. I have 4 furry friends from the country. And you know what's weird? I found out he was a 5-minute walking distance from my house. I was like, what? Like, we were playing VR chat. Like, well, where do you live? Like, because he's into bikes too. Like, here? Really? Do you know where I live? I was like, oh. And then another VR chat friend of mine, Shopao. She found, well, I found out that she was nearby, and one day she just dropped by my front door while I was mid VR chat. I was like, you know what? Fine, come in. Go chat with Vesper and everybody. A small world, really small world. But as to the amount of furries in the Philippines, I'm not sure. I'm not really involved in the furry scene in Southeast Asia. As you can tell, I'm very much on my own when it comes to involving others. Now, if only Vesper could trade places with one of my friends. Imagine to discover somebody special to you just minutes away. That would be fantastic.
That would be.
A 2-hour drive, huh? I think that's better. Vesper has to fly half the planet in order to see me. If only teleportation existed. That's true. You just rift teleport, right, Matthew? We meet like at the Port Crystal.
Like, dang, if I had access to teleportation, say I had the means to, like, do that whenever.
Mm.
Like, come on, I'd be visiting often.
Yeah, same here. It'd be
Or it's-
nice if we could get together, right? Have like some Korean barbecue on a weekend with VR chat friends. low me sa sugar cat. Secondary effects may vary. Ah, yes. You end up being a clone and the original being disintegrated. Yes.
That would be pretty terrifying, actually.
100%. Barbecue is always the bomb.
Star Trek all over again.
I would love to have my circle of friends just go on me on a buffet or like an unlimited Korean unlimited Korean barbecue and hot pot. That'd be fantastic. I know a place nearby. It's called Dynasty. It's a Chinese place that's both a buffet and like a hot pot and a grill in one, and it's such a delight going there. Stop reading my messages before I send them. Right. Yeah. Oh, when you mentioned barbecue, I got a sudden surge in hunger. I was like, oof. So you get your nice tender cuts. You have your sesame oil and soy sauce, sweet sauce, gochujang, your kimchi, and then your baby potatoes that's sweetened. And then some nice cheese that's like melting over the grill. You see your tender cuts of pork, right? Or beef if that's your choice. Put it on the grill. Like, I would just sear mine lightly and then eat it. That's so good. That's so good. Oh man. Barbecue. And a cold drink. Normally they give you a pitcher lits. A pitcher of a drink. And this pitcher is unlimited. You just say, hey, can I please get a refill? Of course, sir, no problem. Yeah. Buy a barbecue, Geb. I have to see how I can handle the whole grilling situation, if that's even possible. Is tap water fine over there? Does everyone drink from plastic bottles? Tap water here is technically potable, and most of us drink from little wells. Like, there's groundwater here is abundant, but I want peace of mind, so my water goes through a 7-stage filtration process before I actually go ingest it. ES on the balcony. ES. An eating session. Imagine the crispy sound of the oil and the fat burning on hot coal and the smell. Yeah, and then you hear the little drips of the sauce, like when it hits the charcoal, and then like a waft of Yeah, precisely. An eating session on the balcony would be great. I think I can fit 4 or 5 people if you want to hold a mini casket party in my balcony. Oh wow, my butt is a little sore in the gluteus maximus. It's probably from lifting all that stuff from the ground floor to the 5th earlier. Oof. Stream is now making me hungry. Well, Mitzi, you can always go grab some food, right? I swear your model gets more detailed every time I watch your streams. More detailed. It's the same. Look, I'm in a crummy container at the moment. There's nothing detailed here. I know not a lot are a fan of this, but I absolutely love grilled squid. It's the scrumptious texture of it, the white color of the meat. goodness. So you have your nice grilled portion of choice. You'd either dip it into your sauces or your cheese. And then you have a nice small bowl of steaming Japanese rice. Excellent. But what I would do in the Korean barbecues is I would get some lettuce. And then, is it lettuce? Yeah, it's lettuce. I would put some rice, some of the sauce, and put the meat and then roll it up and then eat it. That's how I would do it. It's almost a 2 hour and a half. Oh dear, oh my. We've just hit the limit, haven't we? I gotta go doodly doo da. If I am to stick to my word, I wonder what could make me extend. And we don't have Beth to buy more time. Oh dear, the great hero is absent in his greatest time of need. I will give it a 5-minute grace period. And let's see if something interesting happens. I think most of chat left to get a snack. I can see you. You're reaching for that snack. I'm getting hungry too. I'm gonna look for where's my little corn chips that I ate earlier?
Yeah, I'm gonna like skedaddle after stream and get some lunch too.
Yep, I'm looking. Where did I put it? No. Did Yami eat my chips? Can't be. You wouldn't dare betray me, right? I found it.
Considering how
It's behind me.
Thunder liked eating cabbage, I wouldn't be surprised if Yami like stole a bag of chips from you at some point.
What is that stupid number in the bar again? This is crazy, says Litz. I don't know, Liz. I just had dinner, says Jimbo. Good on you. I'm eating some Vesper right now, some corn chips.
I'm not a corn product.
Look at her ears. Corn ears. Ears of corn.
It's supposed to be bat ears. Come on.
Bat ears.
There, your privilege is revoked. How dare you?
Look at what you did. Yeah, don't be mean. I'm not mean. I'm just eating chips. I have a bag of invisible corn chips to you guys. I have gas station pizza. If anybody should have a Southern accent, it would be Reed. I would love it if it sounds like Ellis from Left 4 Dead.
I mean, especially with how he's always toying with that pink cotton candy you find in your walls.
Yeah, precisely. Somebody red and blue. Just step 222. But there's still 8.1. Excellent. Hello, Jacob. I'm moving to a new apartment. You want some? All right, never mind.
So to say, I don't think you can pass corn chips from like thousands of miles away.
Fix the number. I mean, oops. Fix the number. I mean, oops. You know, it seems like Dorian is trying to summon a little community meet or something. Well, I'm about to lose some service again, says Reed. Here, Reed. I'll see you around, Spartan. Bye-bye. I wish I had an accent, says Trax. I can mimic others, but I can... Now you drive safely now, boy. Keep your eyes on the road. Here I am just eating chips you can't even see. And somehow my viewership has increased to 89 from 60 something. I sure don't have like better things to do, like laundry or...
Not to mention we're past our 5-minute grace period.
This is me stalling. This is the part. Axel says, that's actually a pretty good accent, Gim. I have a few friends that talk like that. Oh. I'm trying to get down yours, a Filipino accent. Definitely a harder one. I would be amused hearing the attempts of people trying to speak like me. Maybe I can host a little event or game at the Discord. The best one at imitating Geb. Geb is the master of Stalin. Oh my. I mean, I'm all for community. Stalling, right, oops. I fixed the number so I get an extra minute or two. Please, you get more than just that, Lord. Damn, this thing hits the spot. Multigrain snacks, country cheddar flavor, Nova.
And you're making me hungry. I haven't even had lunch yet.
It's nice because it's not oily. The master of Stalin. What does that make me? Like Rasputin? I love making Patrick Starfish. Hey, SpongeBob. It brightens my day when you try to imitate accents. I don't know why. I think it's just really funny. You around, Axel? He's doing us a service, chat. Yeah, please. Oh yeah. Also, all you handsome fellows and girls, please. The stream is over. Just you see this funny list? Yes. Them e-boys, e-girls, furries, and whoever you're following. Please click one of them. Go watch their streams instead. I'm just eating my corn chips.
I mean, I'm about to dip anyways too, because I'm starting to get hungry.
How about we have Vesper say the goodbye so she can grab some food?
All right. Bye, Chad. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. Make sure to sleep plenty. And I'll catch you later.
See you later, Beth. Oh, there goes the corn lady. You're not stuck with me, chat. Mmm. Mmm. It makes me want to jump out the window when he does mine. No, says Waffle. You're stuck with us. With use, not us, use. Cheese. Cheese is my favorite flavor of chips. Oh yeah, and there's also sweet and sour, like from Pringles, for example. You know the Pringles, right? When you look at it, one side will have more specks of green and the white powder. Mmm. I don't like chips that are oily. The one I'm eating right now is absolutely dry. Salt and vinegar. Ah. Hi there! I found your content on Insta and I love your expressions. I hope you're doing well, says Vel Bell. What a nice rhyming name. Hello, Vel Bell. Don't mind me, I'm just eating my invisible chips. Got a little bit hungry. The pine from the salt and vinegar chips hurts so good. Fried potatoes with a bit of salt and sour in it. My favorite. Mm. By the way, it was your content that got me to make a Twitch account. Wow, thank you for going the extra mile. I appreciate you being here. Oh, okay. Pad See Ew. I know Pad Thai. What's Pad See Ew? Yeah, I don't want to dump the rest in my mouth, but. Hey, stream's over. Show. I almost considered making a burner just to watch you. It's a Thai. Yeah. I had pad Thai the other day. The flattened one. Oh, it's so good. You're making me crave. You know what? I'm done. I'm done with my chips. Oh shit! My controller fell. Oh no. Whoops. I gotta get them corn off my hands. I know, I get some too. Don't worry, sometime this week I'm gonna reorder some. I don't hear no bell. Oh man. Bell just I mean there's your bell. Lauren. Like, oi, I didn't hear no bell. The stream is still there. Yeah, get it, Bell. So what are you, Bell? I'm curious about your name. Caught my interest. You a VTuber too? Fancy name like yours definitely has to be. It's catchy, easy to remember. Rhymes, rolls off the tongue just right. Time to drink. Drax says, I'm just sticking around until you shit it. Wow, Drax, I mean, darn. I didn't know you were into that content. Bell likes Overwatch, I can tell. I actually never stream VR chats as well, and I haven't streamed in general in years, but that's really sweet of you. I got a job that keeps me way too busy. So less time, more money. The balance of life, I see. When's the next VR after stream hangout? I mean, I can host one now. I probably have enough juice for maybe an hour or two. The question is, how many people would be interested in joining? You have to let me know. I work in a hospital. Keeps me on my toes. You know you can clock out when it goes like... doo. Oh, that's a very bad joke. Never mind. No, I'm not home yet. Super duper quick meetup. And everybody that shows up gets times 10 XP for a day. That sounds fantastic. Oh. I'm prepared to get my voice be made fun of. I'll be there. Not gonna beat. See, I knew you were still there, Axel. I wish I could join. Mitzi, for somebody building slimes, why don't you join? Probably go and naglets about her little base station thing. I might appear. I'm playing /go. Okay. VR meetup when? I sometimes host meetups after stream. I just haven't been really able to because I'm either really depleted after stream because of my social battery not being able to properly recharge. But I'm looking into having it at least once a week. Tentative. It seems Vesper will be here as well. If we can pull Matthew out of /go, that would be fantastic. Or we could have a meetup with a little horror adventure all together. Sounds compelling, doesn't it? No problem on my side. Just a genuine question. Would you rather have a very chatty viewer or a very lurking viewer? I would want between the two. I'd probably the chatty one. Geb, your social battery gets depleted because you keep installing so much. Ah, well. That's just me burning the excess, really. It's definitely fair. I might try to make it one. First, though, Vel, you have to be in a Discord server. So, a few sets of challenges. Be in the Discord. Guess the password. And then you have to type your introductions. And be a bit more active there. Chat a few lines here and there. Surely you should get the required level in order to show up in the meetups. It's there to protect from stranger danger. All you have to do is type !Discord, I think. Or click the link in my profile. Or click the one that is scrolling. Geb is the best. Oh, that's probably your password, Blue. Really, you see, on stream, I cannot visually see my chatters. And the only information feed I have would be the words you type in the chat box. In VR chat, I am perfectly fine being around people that are quiet. A few words here and there. But take all of Blue's non-existent money. I perform best and I'm most comfortable in groups of 3 to maybe 5. Only cool people allowed. Blitz here has the cool person badge. It's cleverly disguised as head pats please. Paste it over and post it on her forehead. And then again, it seems we will be seeing the disabled version of Blitz because she does not have enough capacity to digest Mitzi's little troubleshooting or just, get the base stations that she has, put it over at the wall. Speaking of meetup, who's online anyway? I will be with you shortly, Mystic, no worry. Slash go. It's Matthew in a group public. There's Vesper somewhere in the back. Ion, Oh, Howler is online. That's surprising. Wow, it seems quiet. Chat has gone quiet, so this is probably a good time to end stream now, doesn't it? Oh, but I wouldn't want to disappoint Beth. He did say in around 30 minutes he would come back. The predicament. We wait for Beth, but further delay the little community meet, or do we go? I faced through the wall. Yes, Vesper has such abilities. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do something productive. And that's me looking at the various Twitch streamers online. Oh, come on, Firefox. Installing updates.
I have yet to see a stream he ends on time. Yeb's probably gonna delay the ending a bit. Stream is still streaming.
I see. Mm. We're working on it, yes. Good. After troubleshooting. I'm looking at general. There we go. Finally, it loaded for me. Now, who is on Twitch? Let me guess. Top row. May contain adult themes. No breaks. Yoga. That's not VR chat. There's just a dude with the receding hairline on the upper right. Okay. Wiggly Kitty Cat. A short stream with 123. Their name is ERP Kit. Alright, we're moving on. Thirsty Thursday. Alright, next. And there I am on the second row. What do you know? Oh my goodness. And all the all the people. Wait, what? No. I'm browsing to the Twitch channels. No, Geb, avert your eyes. Not those streamers. Thank you for following Dusk of Fire. God, are you the only non-sensualized VR chat stream? No. If you look at the VR chat category, there is actually one more fellow with the wholesome tag. It's Allison VR. They're a little watermelon fox, and I went to their streams before. I mean, once or twice to check out the aesthetic, and I like it. It's pretty much like mine. Nope. Skimpy clothing, bunny outfit, ginormous assets. What's this? Yikes, nope. Is that guy a Christmas tree? Alright. Somebody's playing Fortnite, but considering it a VR chat category, you need to fix that. Okay. Yes, Drax, what is it?
I have been a follower on your TikTok for a while now.
No, it's okay, Duskfire. Welcome here. I'm not sure I'm gonna show up on TikTok live for a indeterminate amount of time, but you can most certainly catch me here. Why, if it isn't the fish can? Feels like it. As I've said, Chan, me streaming is an uphill battle. I'm not banned off TikTok Live. I just it's more like I don't like dealing with TikTok chat. It's exhausting. And there's also the performance aspect of things. Yeah. You see, I get like an encoder overload whenever I go stream to both, and the whole stream stutters. Indeterminate, pretty good time or a pretty long time. Probably a pretty long time. Damn, my right hand reset. Plus, you can focus more on us. That's true.
So, just joined your stream, says Vasti Derwind Magier. How are things with the move? Good, I hope. This one is halfway through moving his belongings and renovating his living space. We're almost there. He has to be. But one more week until I sign the lease. My goodness, the pressure is real. German spawn. Where? I can't see them. You know what? I'm gonna go to 30 minutes past expected. It's already been 30 minutes. Chat, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and most of all, mini community meet after the stream. All right, I'll see you around, chat. I will persist for another hour and a half to 2, and then, yeah, see you when I see you. It's gonna be a group instance, and yes, I guess I'll see you there. Imagine a good night. Good night, Howler. He who helps his friends with certain needs. A helping hand, that's what I meant. No, I can't be there. Oh my, Blue. It's such a tragedy not to have our little Captain America showing up. See you, Trax. See you, Vasti. I'll see you around, Doran. Let me know in general chat if you're gonna show up or not, so I can go align my schedules too. Because starting next week, there might not. Well, never mind. What do you know? We have a raid, right? As I was saying my goodbyes. My goodness me. We have Litios over here reading. Hi there, Lit. What have you been up to? I shall spare a minute or two before I go. Were you perchance playing VR chat? Another game? Or just entertaining chat? You have to stay longer than... What can I do? What is a raid? It's when people decides to dump their chat on another streamer. So it's their like social responsibility. I mean, it's their show of appreciation. I'm kidding. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. I don't do much. I just chat. I sit. I exist. Theos was playing a cute fox game on the Nintendo Switch while hanging out in VR chat. So while in VR, Theos is like holding on to a little console. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah. That's cool. I don't think I've ever tried playing a game while in VR chat. I played VR games, sure, but a cute fox game. You mean Sola Torobo? Sola Torobo? What is that? Oh, hold on. Okay, I gotta get the blood flowing into my butt. Okay, I didn't mean it though. I really have to go skedaddle, chat. Man, of all times to catch me. Goodbye, Gib. I'm gonna go walk with the dogs. I'll say hello to them for me. Again, chat, also my apologies because I have to go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And most of all, good night. I'll see you. I'll try my best on Monday, alright? I can't guarantee it because of apartment duties, but I'll be in VR chat as I end my stream. Okay? See you when I see you. Bye.